Do you play Football Manager?
No, I don't. I'm afraid. No, I've got two girls in the house here, and I've got no chance of getting around to that now.
Were you a Football Manager player?
I was back in the day a little bit, yeah, but not for many a year, to be fair now, if I'm being honest.
Our producer Arthur recently downloaded the new Football Manager, and he decided, I'll start out as Derby County, and it turned out Conor Hourihane was his star player. Everything was going along beautifully, and then you got injured, and now he's having that what's real life and what's Football Manager. So if he was, when he came on the line, if he was a bit short with you, it's because he's a little bit pissed off that you've destroyed his Football Manager career, but it didn't really happen like that. Real life Derby County's going really well for you.
Yeah, look, it's going well. I'm really enjoying it. Look, I suppose we're on a nice run at the minute, winning a lot of games, and we're trying to close the gap on the top two. But in terms of just enjoying the season, playing regularly, it's exactly what I wanted, really, coming to the start of the season and why I signed.
So you've won 5 league games in a row, has put you right back in contention for automatic promotion. There's a big FA Cup game coming up against West Ham on Monday night, and you're in a rich vein of scoring form, 3 goals in your last 4 matches. I think the last time you were on was at Swansea. You were in a pretty rich vein of scoring form at that stage as well. The last couple of years before arriving at Derby, and the couple of loan spells when you were at Swansea and then spending a season at Sheffield United, you're now at Derby on a permanent basis. How different is life back at a club, knowing you're there, knowing you're a full-time part of the team? Is there a sense when you're out on loan that you're always sort of looking over your shoulder that you might be called back? Do you buy a house there, or do you commute? Yeah. How does all that work?
Yeah, look, it's very tough, I suppose. It's the side of football and life that people probably don't see as much and aren't kind of maybe tuned into it. Look, I was at Villa for 5 years. It came to a stage in the Premier League where I wasn't playing as much, and me being me, wanted to get out on loan and play regularly again. Look, so I went to Swansea, and then that was during a lockdown, so I went down to Swansea, and there was nothing open or anything like that. I just had my second child, and I was up and down a lot, and it was difficult, even though I really enjoyed it. We got to a playoff final. And look, if I'm being honest, if we had won that playoff final, I probably would have stayed permanently, because I got on. I loved the area, loved the manager Steve Cooper. But look, it didn't happen, and we move on. And then obviously the Sheffield United one came about. Great club, really enjoyed it. Probably didn't play as much as I would like, and I was up and down from there again. So the last 18 months before I signed for Derby has been difficult, but you try to make the most of the situation as well.
How are you with that bit that we don't see, with the long commute, having a young child, and I know you got married during the summer, a new wife who, your career, professional footballers have to be selfish, but there's another side that you go home and you're gone for 3-4 nights. When you're back home, you still got to remain a professional and switched on. How are you with getting that balance right? Yeah,
it's really tough. I suppose, look, when I wasn't playing in Aston Villa, and I went down to Swansea, we had one child already, and the second had just come along, and I was like, look, I have to go to Swansea and play. And I look back at it now, and I cringe a little bit and think, God, how selfish were you there? My wife had just had our second child. A month into it was born, and I'm gone to Swansea for 4 nights, 3 nights a week, whatever it may be. And I think that was really selfish of you, but that's the life that we live, So it's a difficult one. You try and find the right balance. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. But
is it hard to play your best football in that sort of scenario where there is there's a young child at home, kids get sick, there's always something happening, you're getting the phone call, your wife, she's probably trying not to lay it on too heavy on you as to exactly what's happening, but you probably should be back there, but you just can't.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Nathan, it's really difficult. You try and push it all to a side a little bit, and it's right for your career. But at the same time, in the back of your head, you feel like you should be there, and it's a really fine balance, And last year, obviously, Sheffield United, I was doing a similar thing, up and down to Sheffield. And look, since I moved to Villa 5-6 years ago, whatever it is now, we really like the area. We're really happy on where we were living, and we didn't really want to leave, so we wanted to set up a base here. And my oldest child now was going to school here in September in the area, so this is our base now for the near future. And then and then come along, Derby came, and it's kind of 45 minutes, 50 minutes to where we're living, and it was the right move for me really at the time.
Is that Is that something you have to get your head around, that when you're looking, and listen, I'm sure you're going to say now you're very happy at Derby, but there were probably other options in different parts of the country that were, I don't know, were there championship offers maybe in different parts of the country?
Yeah, no, there was, yeah, and that's being genuinely honest. But look, I'd done 18 months, I'd done 6 months at Swansea, a year at Sheffield United, and I was like, right, I need to settle down here a little bit. Even for myself, it was tough up and down a lot. Whether my form suffered a little bit possibly last year at Sheffield United, but look, I wasn't in the team a lot anyway. I was kind of in and out, and I was trying to make the most of that when I played. And look, I just wanted to get back to playing regularly and being at a club where I could go and do something and really help the club. Maybe, I know I ended up at Derby, kind of rebuild. It's a really, really good football club. It was on its feet. It found its feet again in the summer, and it was a chance to kind of make a name for myself again and get the club going and be a part of something. And that excited me. And of course, then geographically, that suited me as well. So it taking it all into consideration, that it was bang on, really.
I always got the sense you had a good bit of balance anyways. You were someone who had to work your way up right the way through the ranks, from not getting game time at Sunderland and Ipswich, and restarting at Plymouth in League 2, and working your way up with Barnsley in League 1 and into the Championship, and getting promoted with Aston Villa. That thing of stepping away from Villa and being a Premier League player, and the identity of being a Premier League player, the most famous, the best league in the world. Even when you're going out on loan, I know you say you want to play football. Is there a part of you, is there a part of you going, Jesus, I like being a Premier League footballer? I like.
Yeah, look, it's amazing to class yourself as a Premier League footballer, and I was fortunate enough to do it for a couple of seasons with Villa, but I just wanted to play, and that's ultimately what I wanted personally. I think some players possibly hold on to that title a little bit too long, and they need to just kind of just go and play. Whereas that's dropping down to the Championship, your career passes before you know it. Like you said, you just gone through my journey there, and here I am a couple of days away from my 32nd birthday, and I'm like, well, where's that gone? But I can look at myself wholeheartedly and say I made the most of the opportunity every single time to try and go play football, wherever that may be. It's what I wanted to do when I set out as a 12, 13-year-old lad, playing regularly as a professional footballer, and I've stayed with that mantle throughout my career, really, which I pride myself on. So I had no problem with kind of dropping that ego and dropping down to the Championship at the time, because I knew that, one, it was probably right for my career, and two, I just wanted to play.
And if you're in reflective mode, do you look back and say, I got the most out of my talent?
Yeah, without a doubt, I can definitely come to peace with that. Whenever the day is when I hang up my boots, I made the absolute utmost of my career through my talent, mostly through my mentality, through my work rate, through putting in the hours, dedication, sacrifice, whatever it may be. That's something that I've prided myself on, like I said, that dedication and standards to my career. There's been a lot more talented guys than me over the course of my career who I may have passed out just through that mentality and dedication. So that's something that I look back on and kind of say, good on you for doing that.
That step up when you made it from the Championship to the Premier League with Villa, and you'd had a couple of seasons in the Championship where you were, up there with the very best players in the league. You were a real driving force for Villa. You were scoring a lot of goals, and then it goes up a notch in the position that you play in midfield, where it's such a technical position, and you watch the speed of these Premier League games now, and how little time you have on the ball. Now that you're a couple of years on and you look back on the performances you had, and it was up in 35 games in the Premier League over those couple of years. How do you reflect on you as a Premier League player?
Look, first of all, with huge pride, to say that I got to that league and played there for, in and out of the Aston Villa team for 2 seasons was just amazing. You look, another pride, I suppose, that I take is that never got relegated. In the couple of seasons I was there, I was fortunate enough to get promoted with such a fantastic club who had big kind of money injections as well when we got to the Premier League. That was probably maybe a reason why I kind of fluttered down to the Championship after a couple of seasons, because they were spending that much money. It just kind of bypassed me a little bit, and they were going on to the next level. But with immense pride, going from League 2 all the way to the Premier League is not an easy journey. And to say that I've mixed it as best I could at that level is amazing. Some of the games I was, trying my best, don't get me wrong, but fell completely out of my depth a little bit, without a doubt.
What was it? What was the bit of your game that maybe you're comfortable with, particularly now in League One? What are the different parts that actually in the Premier League you thought, even if I get 10% better, it's going to be a bit of a struggle?
Yeah, look, I think when you come up against the Man Cities, the Liverpools at the time, they were the top two. Their physicality, their technical ability, how they move the ball. I remember we played Man City. I started at Centre Park at Villa Park against Man City, and we got beat 6-1. It was an absolute bloodbath. I barely touched the ball, and I genuinely mean that. It was really difficult at times. There was other games, I remember Newcastle, Everton, a couple of times, Crystal Palace, where I had really, really good games and we got results out of. It was a bit of a mixed bag, but an incredible experience to have got there.
The training sessions, I'm sure you've spoken before about Jack Grealish and his brilliance, and we're probably just seeing flourishes of that. Like, do you look at Grealish at Manchester City and think, how is this guy not starting every week? Or is it like when you think of what you saw him doing on the pitch and at the training pitch, even at the level Manchester City are at, are you still surprised that he's not one of the first names on the team sheet?
A little bit. Look, he was that good. There were stages when we got to the Premier League where he was literally taking the mickey out of us in training, and it got to a stage where it was getting a little bit silly. He was that good. Something I've never seen before with the players that I've played with anyway. So I look at it now and I think, like you just said, there was no doubt in my mind that I was saying to people, he'll succeed there. And look, we're seeing flashes of it now, which is great, but it just shows you the level. There's constantly another level, at Man City, at the Liverpools, and whatever the level may be. And it's just an incredible level to have seen firsthand. And like I said, I've no doubt still that we'll still see the flashes, and hopefully that flashes become a bit more consistent, and he'll have a successful career at that level as well, because there's no doubt the talent is there, and the ability is absolutely second to none.
Was that all natural ability with him?
Yeah, a lot of it was. I think Dean Smith at Villa got the best out of him. Showed him that love and what exactly he wanted, that freedom. It was just Dean got it right, managed them really, really well, and he just went from strength to strength, really.
And to play in a midfield alongside him, like, is that for you? Keep it simple, just give it a Jack.
Yeah, look, when I got promoted from the Championship, I was the sitting midfielder, and I had Jack and John McGinn as my 2-8. So I think it was they were the two main men in there, and I was just trying to do my little bit. Two fantastic players ahead of me. Originally under Steve Bruce previously, I was a number 8, and then we signed John McGinn, and I was like, right, I'm going to have to change my position here a little bit, because them two were going to be the nailed down number 8. So I became that sitter, adapted my game, and that's something that I've done throughout my career, adapted to managers, adapted to styles, so to make sure I was in that team as much as I could. So it was an absolute pleasure to get promoted with them two, and them two playing ahead of me, because they're both terrific players and terrific guys as well.
Yeah, when you've McGinn and Grealish, there's no amount of work you can do in the gym that's getting your glutes to the level of those two.
No chance. No, physicality is probably not my finest attribute, but when you have the two of them in front of you, then I get away with it a little bit.
Where is your best position? Because at Swansea, I remember you were playing as a number 8 as well for a while, and you were scoring a lot of goals. But quite often when we see you now, particularly with Ireland, it's in that sort of more sitting back, keeping it simple, getting it to other players, for them to be the creative ones. What's the bit where you're happiest and you feel you make the most impact?
Look, I suppose the majority of my caps, to be fair, has been for Ireland as a 6. Look, I've really enjoyed playing there. I've probably been a mixture of both. Look, throughout. For some reason, I think in my international career, I've kind of been labelled as a 6, and in my club career, I feel like I've been labelled as an 8. I played a lot as an 8 for, when I played for Sheffield United, when I played for Swansea, when I played for Aston Villa, when I played for Plymouth. When I was at Barnsley, we were more of a 4-4-2, but I was the more the attacking one. Look, I've scored a lot of goals, I feel, in my career. Look, I'm chasing down 100 goals in my career, so that probably speaks where I'd like to do my work, probably higher up the pitch. But look, I suppose I try, like I said, whatever the case may be, I try and adapt. If it's that sitter role, I try and learn it. I try and do my best there. And I've put some decent performances in there and other performances were not so decent, but that's the same as a number 8 as well. So look, yeah, I enjoy doing both, but I'd probably be more proactive and productive as a number 8, I suppose, over the course of my club career.
John Giles will be throwing something at the screen right now when we're talking about number 8s, number 6s holding the midfielders. That there's only one type of midfielder. Is that one type of midfielder that he was alongside Billy Bremner 50 years ago for Leeds? Is that type of midfielder gone?
Well, I think now if you can do both of it, if you can be a 6 and an 8 and both jointing together, I think then you become like a Jude Bellingham and you're one of the best out there. I think you become pigeonholed a little bit, maybe because your strengths are more attacking or your strengths is a passer or a defensive side. And like I said, I think if you can do all, then you become a top midfielder. If you said to Kevin De Bruyne sit in there and be a number 6, he probably may struggle, even though to keep the ball for fun. But you know what I'm trying to say. And if you can kind of, like I said, the one out there at the minute who can do everything, and you see people like Roy going on about it all the time, he can do everything: attack, defend, break up play, run forward. Then you've got 100 million price tag over your head. So I think that's why now you get pigeonholed in a certain area, because managers see strengths and weaknesses in every player.
Do you have any relationship with Roy these days?
I don't. No. No.
That's a long time ago now. It was strange because he brought you from Ipswich. He brought you to Ipswich from Sunderland. Yeah,
he signed me at Sunderland. He signed me at Ipswich. I met him again along the way with the Ireland international career set up. And look, an incredible man. Someone I still idolise to this day. Feels hugely fortunate that a man of his calibre, who had the career that he had, signed me twice, gave me more caps with Martin along the way in my international career. And look, only thanks I've got to say to Roy, I suppose, because he gave me the opportunity to break through in England. And still, like I said, idolise him to now. Incredible to watch on Sky, and amazing to be around the times that I was around him in my footballing career, without a doubt.
What do you think he made of you when you were 18 or 19?
I just thought he probably thought he wanted to give an opportunity to a fella from Cork first and foremost. I think, let's be honest.
Did you feel that at the time?
I think I think when I was at Sunderland, especially, and Ipswich, there was that little bit of I think you remember there was Shane O'Connor from Cork as well. Lads, that he felt like, Cork lad, I'll keep an extra eye on you. I'll make sure you're okay. And he definitely did that with me, without a doubt. Like I said, watching him, and I used to go over to Old Trafford when I was younger. My dad was a United fan, and to watch Roy, and then he signed me a couple of times. It was just fairy tale stuff, really, and nothing but good things to say.
Myler likes to believe he's his favourite Cork footballer.
Yeah, of course. Look, I'll give Myler that one. I won't argue with Myler because he's good at an argument, isn't he? So I'll leave him at that one.
Yeah, he certainly is. So the move to Derby then, obviously when people think of Derby at the moment, it's of the absolute disarray of the last couple of years off the pitch. What was the club like when you arrived there? Because there's the footballing side and a lot of focus on Wayne Rooney, and we always call it Jason Knight, but it's a club that I'd imagine has seen a lot of job losses over the last few years, where people are really concerned about their livelihoods, the coaches, the backroom staff. What sort of atmosphere did you walk into during the summer?
To be fair, look, I walked. Well, the only reason why I signed, I suppose, was because the takeover got complete, or else they weren't allowed to sign players. So I suppose when I first went in there was a great buzz around the club, because it had everyone knew it had been saved because we were allowed to sign players. And then publicly, obviously, it got announced that the takeover had happened. So there was a great buzz when I signed, because it had a terrible 18 months, like you said, loss of jobs, loss of points, relegation. The previous owner put so much money to try and get to the Premier League, it just didn't work. So yeah, there was a really good buzz. But then when you settle into it a little bit, that it was really on its feet when the previous manager had done all the recruitment. He had no scouting network. So there was definitely a shortage of people in jobs, and now that's slowly filtering through with the new manager. He's putting things in place, and it's in a really good place at the minute, and it feels like something's brewing. We're heading in the right direction, and it's a brilliant club to be involved in at the minute. It really is.
Obviously, the geography you mentioned was a factor in going to Derby, but touching on your age and turning 32 soon and looking to the future, was it actually I can be more here than the number 6, than the midfielder, that there's other opportunities for you to grow as a person around the club? Or do you allow yourself think like that when you're still playing in a bloody hard league in League One?
Yeah, I think look, there was a lot of factors. I think, look, I felt like I could go there, be a main man, enjoy my football, um, you know, enjoy being a part of something, that excites me. I suppose I was looking for, I'd gone through the leagues. I could have easily signed for the championship club and just, finish mid-table. I thought, right, what do I want to achieve my last couple of years, or however long it may be. And it ticked the right boxes really. And look, I'm playing regularly. That's something that I wanted to do that I'd missed over the last kind of 12 months. And I'm making an impact on games as well, which is always pleasing.
What do you mean of being the main man? Is that being the guy in the dressing room and given the motivational speeches beforehand? Is it being a quiet leader? What sort of presence are you around the place?
I think just first and foremost, like a really good guy, someone that prides himself on standards and doing the right things. There's a lot of young lads in the dressing room. They signed a few older lads like myself, David McGoldrick, as you'd know, James Collins, as you'd know, people who had kind of been around the block with experience, to try and guide some of the younger lads. So yeah, I just think, I think a main man's probably just a phrase, I suppose, but being one of the figureheads in the dressing room, playing a lot of games, trying to drag the club in the right direction, which I'm really, really enjoying. And selfishly as well, it means that, like you said, you've touched on, I'm around the kids a little bit more. I do a little bit of coaching at night times in the area, which I really enjoy. So it's just been a really good season so far, and hopefully the second half of the season now we can do what we all wanted to do and get the club back to the championship, because it's a big club. There was 30,000 on Saturday at home at Pride Park. We brought 4,500 people to Port Vale on Tuesday night. So them numbers will speak volumes, really.
Yeah, it is crazy when you look at that League One, and I know Plymouth are top at the moment, but you've Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich, Derby, Bolton, Barnsley, all these teams that have been in the Premier League that still are getting huge crowds of over 25,000.
Yeah. You get Portsmouth, Charlton.
We do a bit of a look at League One at times still in Ireland and go, well, where does that compare to the League of Ireland right now? And, we could get into standards-wise where it compares, but in terms of the interest levels in the crowd, it is it's remarkable.
It really is, yeah. It's like you said, Portsmouth, you've got Charlton's, Peterborough's, who've been around the block at this level as well. It's Plymouth that I know well. It's Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich are top half easy championship sides. So that are one of them ambition. And the club's ambitions is then to get to the Premier League. But look, the reality is that them clubs have been run not great over the years, and you find yourself where you find yourself, and you try and get back there, and hopefully I'll be a part of the history of Derby really in the near future.
How do you find relating to those younger players, guys who were 18, 19, who were starting out in their journey? It does feel like the world is a very different place for an 18, 19-year-old man right now than it was when you were starting out.
Yeah, I think the younger lads now coming through are different. They need a lot of love. They need a lot of, I think, the kind of the hardship and the being too hard on young lads now, them days are kind of gone. I do feel the world is a little bit soft, I suppose, this day and age, in my opinion. So you need to adapt to the way the world is, and like I said, they're a little bit more fragile, let's say, younger people now. So I think that comes with just managing in the right way, talking to them, interacting with them, and they like the warmth, I suppose, of managers and older lads, and it's something that I'm really, really enjoying actually. The older I get, I love giving back to the younger lads, and I feel like they appreciate that from me as well, and it's a two-way street, and it's really, really, really something that I enjoy. Yeah,
and really important to learn that now as well before you start off on a coaching journey, that actually the old school of hard knocks, the way that you were brought up, and actually some tough love, it probably isn't going to work for you if you're going into a dressing room in 4 or 5 years' time as a manager and trying to relate to these players and talk to them, that actually it's the arm around the shoulder that for most of them now is what they need.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's a little bit different. You can give that little bit of tough love to a couple, and a couple can take it. Speaking to managers now, I always kind of look at it differently and go, right, how would I handle that player? How would I handle maybe he's lost a little bit of form? Or how would I handle this guy? He's in a good reign of form, so he keeps it going. Managers kind of premeditate a little bit now. Well, the ones I've spoken to recently, when they'll kind of give that fiery side of the mouth, whether you're winning or losing, they might just think, right, today's the day that I'm going to give it to them, rather whether we're winning or losing, it's premeditated. So it's something that I'm watching closely, because it's a journey that I want to go on when I finish. So I'm thinking about the game a little bit differently now, rather than the kind of fiery Conor that was maybe there on his journey on the way up. That kind of whatever came my way, I knocked it out of the way and kept moving forward. Now I look at it a little bit differently, and that just comes with age, I suppose.
You're not an angry young man anymore.
No, that fire. I think my girls have taken that out of me mostly, and then I suppose it's the younger people then in the dressing room that you try.
I never had you as an angry man. I always thought, watching you play in the middle of the pitch, there was always a bit of craft about you. There was a lovely technique to your passing. I know. You weren't the man crunching into tackles. You just, you let somebody else do that bit, and you were the creative force.
Yeah, but I still am driven and ambitious, and I suppose that goes without saying. But the ambition and the drive and the determination off the field was probably what made my career. I was never crunching into tackles, or the physical side of the game wasn't my thing, but mentally inside I was so driven to try and get to the level that I wanted to get to, and that's the fiery side that people probably don't see of me. I'm more the calm guy on the pitch, but inside, I'm really the fire is still bright and it's still lighting, and it's still very bright, which is really important. That shows you that you really care and you want to get to somewhere still now in your life,
Yeah, because I'm wary this is almost ending up sounding like a retirement interview where it's anything but. As I say, you're still only 31, but like that drive and desire to get from League Two to get to the Premier League, and then having to make other life choices in a purely footballing sense. Is there a drive and desire to, I want to get back and I need to play in the Premier League again before the end of my career, or is it actually, I need to be playing football every single week, I need to play as many games as I can over the next 4 years, and then I'll be happy at whatever level that may be?
Yeah, I think it's if I got back to the Premier League, that would be absolutely incredible. Will I or won't I? I'm not sure, but that fire and drive is still there without a doubt. I think it's so important that fire inside you is still, bright and lighting. But I think over the next few years now, I just really want to play regularly, have an impact on the club that I'm at, and let's see where it takes me. I've probably got a little bit more of a different look at it now, where it was previously to get to the Premier League, it was like, right, whatever gets in my way, I'm gonna get it out of my way. Basically, now it's a little bit different, but I still want to try and achieve things, get promoted this year, of course. Hopefully get back into the Championship. You never know what can happen then, and it's let's just see over the next couple of years what happens. But there's still an ambition and a drive there to want to achieve things, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of ambition and drive as well around the international side, and looking ahead to Euro 24 and the start of the qualifiers. There's a strong Irish contingent at Derby. You touched on some of the other old lads there. Dave McGoldrick, James Collins are there as well. No chance of McGoldrick coming back?
No, I don't think so. I think the days are gone. I had already kind of figured that out last year at Sheffield United. There was a couple of conversations, I suppose, when I'd first signed. So what's that? It's probably like 18 months ago, and it didn't happen then. So it's definitely not happening now, I'm afraid.
Jason Knight is the one we've been following at Derby for so long, and there's probably a surprise almost that he's still at Derby, and I know he turns 22 as well over the next few weeks. You would have been aware of him well from Ireland camps, seeing him in week in, week out at training. What sort of level of talent are you looking at?
Yeah, look, a very, very, very good level of talent, I suppose. Look, there was it was a difficult one for Knight, I suppose, at the start of the season. The old manager, the previous manager, wanted to play with kind of midfielders in full-back areas, and he kind of got pushed to right back, which wasn't easy for him because he wanted to show his energy and his midfield ability in the middle of the park. But look, seeing him day to day, he's a terrific guy, first and foremost. Got real ability, got bags of energy, and I think it's really important for him right now that he's playing regularly, first and foremost, clocking up them games, clocking up that experience. He's got his foot in the door with the international camp, and hopefully have a really strong finish to the season with Derby and go from there with Knighty. I think if he jump ship too early, he may be on the bench at clubs, he may be not playing regularly, and I think right now, even though it's a level where he probably doesn't want to be at, he's playing regularly, and that's really gold. It's gold dust, So I think finishing the season strongly for Knight is really important, and go from there come the summer, really.
Good for him to have somebody of your experience there as well to give that little bit of advice, because I'm sure 21 and he's reading the papers and he's seen online, he's been linked with all sorts of championship clubs, and everybody in Ireland feels he should be playing in the Premier League, and it's hard not to let that into your system. And as you say, he could get that move to the Premier League and play once a month, whereas actually playing hard men's football in League One long term will probably stand to him.
Yeah, it really will. I think when I first came to the club in the summer, speaking to a couple of people who were there long term at Derby, you know, he was kind of the utility man, right back, centre mid, right wing, wherever someone got injured, Knight he would fill in. I think now more with this manager, he's really nailed down a centre midfield position. He won't be moving from that position anytime soon. He's clocking up games in the position where he wants to play. Like you said, he's got his foot well in the door with Ireland. And I think these next 3 or 4 months of his career will be brilliant for him. I really, really do think that on the training ground every day, in his position, learning, and he'll only go from strength to strength. You know, hopefully with Derby, if we got promoted, he'll stay. If not, he may move on, whatever it may be. But I think these next, like I said, 3 or 4 months will be huge for Knighty, playing regularly in the centre of the park and doing his thing, really, you know.
Got his foot 2 in the door in Ireland.
What, sorry?
He's got his foot 2 in the door in Ireland. How you're looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he does probably epitomise one of the issues for, I'd imagine, Ireland internationals who get to their late 20s, early 30s. We're always looking for the next big thing. We're never that appreciative of the guys who've been there a few years and who've been going about their business solidly. We're always looking for, well, Jason Malumbi has arrived and Josh Cullen's there and Jason Knight. When you're hearing all that and I'm still here, guys. I'm the guy with the experience. How does that make you feel?
Look, it's part and parcel of getting a little bit older, I suppose. Look, you're always looking for that young one who's going to carry you through for the next 5, 6, 7 years, and ultimately that won't be me. But look, I feel like I'm a really experienced guy in the squad. You know, probably one of the older guys now, along with Seamus, James McLean, Shane Duffy. I think after that, I'm probably the next oldest. So, you know, I just feel like I'm there in and around the squad. Of course, want to play. When I do play, you know, give my most. Like you said, trying to guide these Jason Malumbis, Jason Knights as much as I can. You know, bounce off them. What are they thinking? Are they, you know, they come to me for a little bit of advice. But look, I'm still there, still hungry for it, of course. And any little bit I can play my part, you know, I'll actually do that gladly, because it's a privilege to be there, and you know, it doesn't last forever.
Do you have to have that conversation with Stephen Kenny all the time and say, you know, I am happy to be here. I am happy, if it needs be, to get the 20 minutes at the end of the match, to make an impact, to be a senior figure around the squad, to be the good pro, to show them what it's all about, that, you know, I'm happy to have this role, in case at times managers might think, well, actually, you know, maybe, you know, those type of players who aren't always in the team might get a bit peed off and you don't want them around the camp.
Yeah, I suppose, look, when I don't play, obviously there's conversations, of course. The manager's been absolutely A1 with me. You know, he's been terrific with me ever since he's taken the job. He really, really has. You know, it's like I said, it's an honour to be there, whatever way I can play my part, whether it's on the pitch, off the pitch. You know, I try and help the lads the best as I can. You know, being one of the experienced lads now in the camp, you have to carry yourself well. You have to show an example. You have to set that standard for the group. And I feel I really do that the way I carry myself every day when I'm in and around the camp. So yeah, look, if I can get more caps and impact the group on the pitch, great. And if not, then I'm there for whoever needs me. You know, so that's my part probably moving forward, and I'm okay. I'm happy with that, and I really want to achieve something with Ireland. That's something I'm desperate for. I'd love to qualify for a major tournament, and whatever that may be, or whatever that takes, then I'm happy to do it.
How were you after Armenia?
Yeah, look, it's been a difficult one, I suppose. It's I suppose, look, in your career you get ups and downs, great days, not so great days, and you try and manage them as best you can. But look, that was a hard one, I suppose. But look, you try and move on for it and learn from it, and on to the next one, really.
Is it much more difficult with Ireland, because it's, look at them, we're as guilty as anybody. It's so much focus and attention on the team, and every little error is amplified. And I guess at Derby, you can get away with certain things at certain times. It means a lot to the people of Derby, but I can't imagine all your family are there at every single game. They're probably all there at the Aviva. I've heard so many stories of late of families sitting in the Aviva, and fans get excited. They get abusive. They don't really mean it. They're annoyed. They're frustrated. It impacts on an awful lot of people what happens on the pitch, and it's probably not quite the same when you're going up meeting your family in the stand after the match. You're like, Jesus.
I know, it's really difficult, Nathan, to be fair. Like, it's your mum and your dad are there every single game that I've played for Ireland. If I play, great. If I don't play, then you're going in because you've got a bit of a face and yet you haven't played. Then obviously you touch on maybe the previous game that I played. You go into the players' lounge and you've got a face, and it's really difficult. You've got friends watching, you've got friends there in the players' lounge. Possibly you have to put on some sort of smile for them. Obviously there's been great times as well where you've gone in after a great result, and it's one of the best feelings ever, playing for Ireland and going in after such a great result, and life couldn't be better. So yeah, it's difficult. It really is, that Ireland kind of spotlight when you're away with the camp. Obviously born and bred from Cork, there's so many people watching, so many people up in the stands. It's a real difficult one, but you try and manage it the best you can. Like I said, it's great. It's the best feeling ever when it goes for you, and when it doesn't, it's tough. But like I said, it's part and parcel of the game we do, and mentally you have to be right to try and be as best you can, win, lose or draw.
Do your parents love it? Like, do they still? Yeah, we've had quite a few. We had Nathan Collins' dad on last year talking about just like the joy of getting to watch his son become the player that he is.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, they absolutely love it. I think it's one of the proudest moments, for my mum and dad. I think when they go to the Viva and they watch me play for Ireland and standing there for the national anthem, I get a bit of goosebumps even talking about it now. It's such an incredible feeling, and I've got a couple of kids myself now, and even trying to flip it a little bit and thinking, right, if they went on to do something incredible in their life, you try and see it from your mum and dad's point of view, and it's incredible, really. So yeah, it's they absolutely love it, and special days, you never know how long it's gonna be there for you, because obviously one day it will come to an end, so you try and take the most of it in, especially when you get that little bit older and you want everyone to be at the games and stuff. And then when it doesn't go great for you, it's difficult because you go into the players' lounge after, like we just said. But it's it's all part of it, I suppose.
And like that night against Armenia maybe summed up a bit of the problem of the last year, that just that bit of momentum, it feels like it was coming, and then to be a setback, and then to be another good performance with everyone to get excited and say finally the Stephen Kenny era is kicked on, and then to be a little bit of stumble and everyone's a bit confused as to where exactly Ireland are a couple of years into Stephen Kenny's reign. The general feeling is that it's about results now, which is an incredibly difficult thing to say when you're playing France in the next game and you've got the Dutch and the Greeks. Like, what's your sense of where Ireland are heading into that France game?
Look, I think it's been an up and down one, like you said. But one thing I will say is that, look, you've got, like you've just said there, people like Nathan Collins, Jason Malumbi's, Jason Knight's, Josh Cullen's doing terrifically well at the minute, and I think the squad's in a really, really good place. I think there's some, really good players in the squad now. I know the opposition isn't going to be easy, but look, we'll give it everything we've got. But in terms of quality in the squad, we feel like we have it. So look, I think the squad's in a good place. Really exciting. There's always a big excitement at the start of a new campaign, which will be the case come March. So look, we'll give it everything we've got, of course, and hopefully come the end of it we'll have some success. But look, it's you're judged on results, and hopefully the results will be right for us over the course of this campaign coming up.
Evan Ferguson is here to save us all.
Exactly. Well, there's another one that the last camp that I missed, the previous one that I didn't manage to go to, that was one that Evan was there, wasn't he? And I'd love to see him firsthand. So he's an exciting one, of course, coming up. Nathan Collins, like I've just touched on, two lads absolutely thriving at the minute. So do
you get excited? Like, we're obviously all incredibly excited watching Evan Ferguson at 18 scoring these goals in the Premier League and the quality of them. Like, you're obviously you're hoping to play alongside him. Like, are you watching that going, oh yes? Yeah,
without doubt. I want as many good lads in the squad and terrific players as possible, because it means hopefully we'll get more success. So seeing people like Evan and, like I touched on, Nathan, Josh Cullen thriving at the minute, it's absolutely amazing. It's only going to benefit the squad. So the good players, playing at top level, Premier League, top of the Championship, absolutely happy days, because it's only going to hopefully get the squad to where we all want to go to, and that's a major tournament. So it's absolutely amazing to see.
Conor, you've been brilliant with your time as always. The very best of luck with the rest of the season with Derby and heading into the international window as well. And obviously best of luck on Wednesday night. A little bit of a sample of Premier League quality. Remember, it's very simple. Just leave one on Declan Rice. You're everybody's hero.
No worries. I'll do my best.
Conor, great stuff.
Cheers. See you later. Take care. Bye bye.